A missile powerful enough to blow up a giant meteor. Or powerful enough to blow up a castle.
Welcome back to the Titanium Hangar. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about my collection display update for Eternia. So in preparations for Eternia, what am I doing? What have I changed around? This is where Eternia is going. I've been getting together a lot of stuff, vintage stuff, origin stuff, and then just kind of trying to organize it and arrange it to where I think Eternia will still fit in here, and then we can populate it with these figures. But today, I'm making my third update to this, so the goal here is to give people ideas and things that they can do to work on for the next year or so, going into the Eternia arriving in 2024. I think it's a really big deal, and it would be kind of fun to A, get it set up in 2024, and then B, really enjoy it with a fantastic display. So I'm going to go into my thoughts and what I'm doing, and hopefully it gives you some ideas, and maybe you give me some ideas coming up. First of all, you do have to kind of think about the placement of Snake Mountain. I mean, everybody's going to sort of have a Snake Mountain sort of around their Eternia, unless, of course, you just have the Eternia. And I think that you'd want it on the right side because that's where the Snake Tower is. And then over here, you're going to see the Castle Grayskull. Now, I do want to sort of connect those, which is kind of why I have this piece here. So I do want to connect with that piece. I don't think that's going to be included. But if it is included, then it's not really that big of a deal. I'll have two connection points, and that's fine. I did move the fright zone, the Horde fright zone, over here to this corner. Now, the wall actually does kind of have a corner right there. It's a multi-cornered kind of wall. It's kind of strange the way it's set up, but it is what it is with what I've got here. And then I did already showed that, but I've got the slime pit right there. So a lot of people do think that we need a fright zone. I don't think we're going to get in the fright zone, but I only paid $15 for that thing, and then I paid a little bit more for the monster. If we do get a fright zone, I think the monster is what everybody would really be needing the most for a fright zone. They're real cheap on eBay, like under $100, I think. So I mean, paying $100 plus for a new fright zone, I don't know if we really need that in Origins, but yeah, the overall here, just moving things, getting it in place. Now let's start looking at a few components and just interesting stuff that I've been picking up that I think is going to be fun when we get Eternia. Okay, so I did say there were about 12 things I wanted to pick up that were parts of the original Eternia that I wanted to use for comparison, but I also wanted to be able to use these in the display and use them on the new Eternia. So I got stuff I think will all integrate well with the actual Origins version of Eternia. Now, I do want to say this here. Now, they call this the Jet or something, the Eternia Playset Jet piece or something along those lines. So I just searched for Eternia Jet, and it's pretty cool. The whole way you use it is you literally just stick the figure in there like this, and it holds him. Now, I'm going to use, I had an extra atom over here that I was going to use. Now, sticking him in there, that's how a vintage figure would ride. And a vintage figure, he's looking down the whole time, so you really can't have him look up, but it just kind of holds him in place there. And I don't know, it looks like you're dragging a dead person. But with an Origins figure, you can stick a Skeletor in there like I had him, and you can have him looking forward as he's going, and he can look like he's maybe holding on to something, and he can have his staff as he's going around and stuff like that. So it makes a lot more sense when it comes to this to use an Origins figure. So the other thing I think is kind of cool, and I guess I was going to wait till after I looked at the other two pieces, but it would be nice to have another one of these so you can have technically 3 rolling around, but we'll get into that here in a bit. But you have 3 people flying around at the same time. That would be kind of cool. So really interesting stuff that could be picked up, cheap stuff that can be picked up for about $30. I think these run about $30 on eBay right now. I mean, people ask whatever they ask, but you can reasonably catch one for $30 pretty much every day. Next up, we have the Tram. Now, I'm learning about this as we go. So this is all sort of new to me in a way, and that makes it fun. When it's new to you, it's fun. So you just kind of slide on and off. You slide the motor. Now, they call the motor either, well, you can find it as a motor or a power module. It has, you got to have power module. And those are a bit hard to come by now. I guess it makes sense, but it's super simplistic electronics with the power modules, and I was able to get both of these to work with very little skill. I only took a semester of electronics. It wasn't for me, but I have enough skills from that. I went on to get an MBA instead. So the little bit of soldering knowledge, and a little bit of knowledge of components, there's very little components. It's literally just direct wired to 2 AA batteries and spins a motor that looks like Kenner's. So Kenner motors are easy to get working, and so is this one. Anyway, with this here, I do have an Origins Maniface in there, and I think Origins would fit exactly the same as pretty much the vintage one and all that kind of stuff. But this is a cool looking little Tram that's going on here. You have some stickers for like reverse lights and engine thrust and stuff, and those are put on funny, I guess. This is a pretty cool little thing. The windshield itself, I did heat it up to form it back to make it sure it formed. Hard to get the windshield, and not really hard so much to get this thing. Hard to get the wheels on the bottom, so it does roll. If you don't have it up there, you can just roll it, which I think that's pretty cool to put that in to integrate it, because the way it's set, you only get one power module the way Eternia shows up, so you'd need the wheels to roll these while you're using something else. But how you access this, so you open the back, and you got more stickers in there showing like engine detail and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of cool, wires, and then you pull the figure in and out using that, so that's kind of cool. Anyhow, there it is, and then you would connect this and it would go around. Now my goal is to have 3 of them going around at the same time, which is kind of a pretty hefty goal, and I've achieved it pretty quick actually. These I just started looking, found them real cheap, and oh, they don't work. Well, they do now. So anyhow, this little side gun here, it plugs in. I don't know if I'm gonna break it popping it off or not, but it just plugs in like that. So that's something I didn't know about it until I started looking at these. I'm like, oh, this is supposed to have a gun here. So these are usually about between 20 and 30 bucks each for the gun. So generally, like a complete one of these, like 100. It's crazy. It starts adding up really fast. Let's get into this here, and I guess I'm going to show with Manifaces. So let me get that set up. All right, so I got me a Maniface here. We're going to put them with the good guy face, just because. Now this is the Origins one, and I just kind of prefer the Origins one because I think I can position him a little bit better in there. But here he is, and this is, I guess, the gel cell kind of thing. You do want his feet to clear so it works. So then he's going to be like rolling along, and it's going to hit a piece on the trail, and it's going to make him fall out, theoretically. So you do want to position him in there where he'll fall out properly. All right, let's try it again. There we go. He fell out. So here's how you load him back in. You just put him in and close this, and then you'll want to push this back to sort of release that release, and then you want to re-engage the release once you've got it pushed all the way in there, and it will go back to holding them in place. This cage, pretty cool stuff, and the motor assembly itself actually has, let's move up here, it actually has a gun right here that plugs in like that, and so there's like another 20 bucks or 30 bucks depending on the day. These parts, as I predicted, the parts are getting more and more expensive as the funding has already gone through for the main one, and people are starting to realize that, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to get a $500 one or a $600 one. Now it's going to be back into thousands. So next I want to showcase the Palace Red Gun. I've seen it called a lot of things, but most they just call it Eternia Red Gun, Red Cannon, Run Gun, something along those lines. And so this is kind of cool because it does sort of pivot. Now this is what's on that top center tower, what you usually see, and it's just basic. Now I am missing this. It's a clear kind of a, I don't know what you would call it. Is it a guard? Is it like a guard? Is it a sight or something along those lines? So this does have quite a bit of detail in it. It looks like there's some gears because it does do this whole thing here. It does have a sticker that looks like it's powering up and is about to put out some serious laser fire. More gears over here, like a built-in hose. This stuff going on right here. It looks pretty cool overall. It's big, and it is the thing about it. It is big. this is not a small piece at all. And if you look at Eternia is so big that this looks tiny whenever someone's manipulating it. And when anyone's pulling this off, it's like, oh, that little bitty gun that they got up there, and it's like, wait a second, this is huge. I mean, it's the size, almost the size of a Roton. So you look how big this thing is, it blows my mind. And part of me picking up these early is just, I'm so excited for the new one, and this just carries home the excitement. But the new one's going to have missile firing out of these. So projectiles will fire out of here on the new one, and so that's kind of fun. But it's going to be fun again to do comparisons when we get the Origins one in. Okay, so in addition to 12 items that I was wanting to get that's on my list to compare to the Eternia when it shows up, I also wanted to get things that I don't think Mattel's going to make. Now, I don't think Motu's ending for 2 years, and I'm just going to say that. 2024, all through it, we're going to see Motu products, and it may be getting more and more scarce, but I think we're going to keep seeing it. But I don't think they're going to do such deep cuts such as Stilts. So Stilt Stalker is what this is called. This one here that Mechanic has is a complete one, and then the one over here that is being walked around by Web Store is missing the two top gun pieces, which are probably the most commonly missing parts on these. But I just thought it'd be fun to have a set of these to mess around with. They're not that expensive. Complete usually go for about 30, and then you can get them sealed on the card for 50. So they're not expensive, but I just don't think that we're going to see these made by Mattel for the Origins line. And they would fit Origins figures too just fine. But one thing I like about this is that it's cool because it puts them up a little taller, and when you're going to be looking at way up here for Eternia, you know, everything being down below isn't as much fun. So having these stilts, they're up a little taller, they'll kind of stand out a little bit better in the display. And that also got me thinking about maybe elevating up a couple of these play sets back here. You know, maybe Snake Mountain, maybe the Horde, just do some way to elevate them, and then I could put things underneath it. But I still got a year to worry about that. And then again, that might actually be something that's a necessity. But we'll get into that in the future. So let's look at these guys here real quick. First of all, I want to say that you have a couple of features and functions. You do have this kind of quad gun down here that plugs into the side. There's a hole right there. And then you have this gun over here, so a radar dish gun kind of thing right there. And then we have this is kind of a laser pistol gun on a ball joint, which is cool. And then we have over here another type of gun, radar looking thing over here on a ball joint also. And these silver guides, they actually go all the way in, so they're adjustable, or you can break them down and do some kind of stuff with them too. Now I wanted to, the reason Mechanic's on here is because I wanted to make him super tall, but he doesn't really stand very well when you do that. So it's really hard to make him stand with his head up there. But this was my original plan, to figure out a way to just some crazy pose to make it work, where his head's up and he's on stilts, kind of like Elastic Man or kind of like Spectre Gadget. But yeah, that was my plan. Okay, so taking him off this, his hand already came unhooked. You do kind of have to finagle his foot out of there. And that's probably the hardest part about putting this on, is getting his foot out of there. So we're going to get the foot out like so. And then we'll put him back to normal. And that's all nice and Jim Dandy. So what do we do with these? Well, you collapse them down, and then it connects to the backpack. Now here's the backpack on Web Store, who's walking on them, but I just wanted to keep everything sort of in my head making sense. And then you can connect these via this backpack for him to carry it. Now, all right, let's try that again. It should slide up like so, and then he's got it, and then it will slide up here like so, and he's got it. And so the whole gimmick there is that he can carry it on his back. But I wanted to get the shot like this, where he's on his stilts, carrying stilts. I don't know. It's just a weird fun thing to do. Back it up just a bit. I think we got it all in frame here. There's Web Store carrying the stilts on the backpack. Yeah, lots of fun. Look, this might be mind-numbingly easy for people, but I'm going to put the stilts back on him. I just think this is a whole lot of fun and for something cheap to get. And, you know, really, it doesn't even have to be complete. So you just slide the foot in like this, and then you kind of make him hold on to that at the same time. And then he's stable, and then you can take it as tall as high up as you want that to go for his hand. Same thing on the other side. We'll go ahead and pre-pull this up. I'm going to stick his foot in here like so, and then guide his hand into there. Go in there. And then he's back up and running, still stalking like him and his buddy. I don't know, Mechanic and Webster probably really aren't buds in real life. Alright, so this was a real quick update to what's going on with my display for Eternia, but I am excited for it. And so with that, during this time where a lot of people are confused whether the line's going to end or not, we can have so much fun with what we have. And if they don't make it in the future, there's a lot of vintage stuff out there that's really cool that is still relatively cheap price. I mean, about 80 or 85% of Masters Universe is very, very overproduced in the vintage line, so it's easy to get your hands on, and it's relatively cheap, relative in terms to modern toys and relative in terms to other vintage toys of the era. But with that, I'm super excited for Eternia. Can't wait to turn Eternia, this table, into Eternia. And I'm still a little bit concerned if I've got enough space, but we'll cross that bridge when the time comes. But I want to know if this was helpful for you, or at least did you learn anything from this, getting to look a little bit deeper into components of the vintage Eternia. Maybe we'll see some stuff going on with the future Eternia. And with that, I'll be doing all these comparisons when the time comes with a lot of excitement. And let me know what you think in the comments below. Is there anything else out there vintage that's cool that I should probably be looking at right now for the next year going into Eternia? That's another thing that I like to make these videos for, is to learn from the viewers, because you guys have a lot of great ideas. Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Tram out.
But this should keep him away from the missile.
Oh no! The missile!
No, that was my only hope. That pit is bottomless.
Just to be sure, Skeletor, we'd better leave before that missile explodes!
Right.